my Facebook page, Marianne Hanson Counselling Service. It's the exact same live stream, but just in case you want to watch it on there. And this is a video that someone has suggested. They said, could you make a video talking about how to be less emotionally reactive? And so I said, yeah, I'll make that video. So I've taken a bit of time to talk about this, because this is something as well that comes up for a lot of people around this idea of emotional regulation and emotional dysregulation. So many people think that our emotions are in control of us, when really it's the other way around. We're in control of our emotions. It might not feel that way some of the time. We might feel out of control. We might feel dysregulated. But we have to remember that, you know, it's anything, how we behave or how we operate as human beings is always through habit. So something we do constantly, through consistency, through triggers, through practice. There's loads of ways and loads of reasons for why we operate in the way that we do. So anything that we're doing, we can always change it around. So what I'm going to talk about really is I'm going to give you 7 tips on how you can become less emotionally reactive to things. So hopefully you'll find this useful. Anyone joining, feel free to leave your comments. Anyone watching the replay, feel free to leave your comments as well. So the first thing is to work on understanding yourself and your emotions. So instead of suppressing when you feel an emotion and labeling it as bad. So sometimes people will get angry and they'll say, I can't be angry. Oh, anger is a bad thing. So they'll suppress it. Some of that has come from childhood stuff. Maybe they've been told, you know, you're not supposed to express anger. Maybe how they expressed anger was in an inappropriate way. So they had negative consequences. And some of that is just through your own feelings. People will constantly label certain emotions as good, some as bad. But the more you do that, and also the more you suppress your emotions, it's not helping you. It's not helping you to understand yourself. It's not helping you to understand the emotion. So instead of doing that, avoiding, suppressing or labeling, just feel the emotion. Just say to yourself, this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling sad today. I'm feeling frustrated today. I'm feeling irritated today. Learn to get used to emotions. Use feelings wheel. You can find stuff online. Use whatever tools you need. But that's the first step, is to understand yourself and understand your emotions. The second thing is knowing what your triggers are, but knowing that you don't have to react to them. There's always people in your life, whether it's partners, family, friends, strangers, work colleagues, who are always going to push your buttons. We can't go through life being triggered by other people and then constantly, you know, allowing them, not even allowing them, but letting that situation create like an emotional reaction. You know, for me, it used to be social media or maybe certain people in my family. So they would say something and then it would automatically like trigger. Someone the other week actually, I'm fine, thanks, BM, thanks for asking. The other day there was a discussion on Facebook, and it was around money, and as usual people start talking about, oh, everything's going up and financial stuff. And I was saying certain things about running a business, and some guy randomly said, I can tell that what did he say? I can tell that you have a man paying your bills. and I don't know where he got that from, but also I was like, I wish. I was like, no. I said, just because I don't agree with what you're saying about money, you know, everyone has to work for their money and stuff. But I said, I work for my money. And I said, I wish I had someone paying my bills and stuff. But yeah, that somehow triggered me, because I think it was the fact of it was so far away from, hi Smokey, hi Noodle, from who I am and from what I believe in. But anyway, back to this thing of like, people will trigger you, people will push your buttons, but you have to know that like, if you don't want to react to something, that's on you. You can't wait for the person not to push your buttons, because there's always going to be people out there that will try to. So that's part of what we're talking about today, is not to be emotionally reactive. So when people say things like, hi Rachel, you made me get angry, or you made me feel this. Hi Mia, you know, it's your fault. this is a classic what people say. They'll say something like, I'm only angry when I'm around you, or you're the only person that kind of pushes me to this level. It's a cop-out when we say that, because just because you're only angry around that person, it's still not that person's fault. It's your anger. It's you're the one that's in control of that emotion. So we need to sort of stop doing that as well, because that doesn't help us. If we say, every one of my friends I'm around is fine, but when I'm around you, this particular friend, you're the one that like kind of makes me angry. Oh, thanks, Rachel. So what we need to start doing is not putting it on the other person, because that isn't helping us. Because then that's saying we're co-signing really, and what we're saying is, you've said, yeah, you had someone that was like that, yeah. So what we're doing when we do that is we're saying that we're easily triggered by that particular person, so that is giving us an excuse or a reason to say, well, I can get angry around this particular person, when what we've really deep down, the issue is that sometimes either that person isn't putting a boundary in place, or we find it easier to react towards that person. It's still down to us. It's still us as individuals. So stop using other people or other circumstances to say that we're reacting. Thanks for the love. Thanks, everyone. So the next thing is, this is a quick, simple way of managing or dealing with an emotion. So the first, it's in 3 parts. So first you identify what the emotion is. So it's identify it. Many people, when they're feeling a particular emotion, they don't spend enough time figuring out what the actual emotion is. They'll say, oh, I'm feeling, I don't know how I'm feeling today. I'm just feeling a bit low. I'm just feeling a bit meh, or whatever it is. Spend time thinking about it. If you want to understand how to be less emotionally reactive, you first have to understand what you're feeling. Oh, thanks, Smokey. Thanks, appreciate that. So identify it. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take you to identify what the emotion is. Take some time. This is something I've had to do. So sometimes when I used to wake up and I'd just be I wasn't feeling the right energy. I didn't know why. I just sometimes would wake up and I'd just be like, I can't be bothered to do anything. The vibration isn't there, or whatever it is. And so then I'd have to identify, okay, well, what are you feeling? And sometimes I couldn't. I'd be like, well, I don't know. Am I feeling bored? Am I feeling frustrated? Am I feeling irritated? But it's worth doing, so take some time to do that. The second part is investigate why you might be feeling like that. It's also going to take time. Sit down and think, why am I feeling a bit unmotivated today? Why am I feeling a bit sad today? Investigate. Ask yourself the question, could I be feeling sad because it's the anniversary of someone's, death that's close to me? Am I feeling sad because I've got something coming up in the future that I'm looking forward to? Am I feeling sad because? Just keep asking yourself the question and then try and investigate. And the third part is to choose. So you identify the emotion, you investigate why the emotion might be there, and finally you choose what you're going to do about it. What action are you going to take? So you might say, identify, I'm feeling really angry today. You might say, investigate, I'm feeling angry because I had an argument with someone yesterday and it's still on my mind. Then you might say, action, okay, I'm going to reach out to that person. Oh, sorry to hear that, Mia, condolences to you. So once you've done that, the fifth thing you can do is to recognize when someone pushes your buttons, that is their issue. That person, it's their issue. Some people are going to push your buttons, but it doesn't mean you have to get into a power struggle with them. How many times, probably all of us have done this at some point in our life, where someone is purposely provoking you, pushing you, triggering you on purpose. So they might say something which they know is going to get to you, get under your skin, and we react. And it's such a pattern of doing it that person then is smiling because they're like, yeah, I knew that was going to get to them, and they've won. You come down to their level, you go out of your character. So what we need to learn to do is not to do that. We need to recognize when someone's pushing our buttons, but we don't react to the way that you can do that is to take a step back sometimes. Taking a step back means that just because someone is constantly provoking, yeah, they're saying things to you, they're kind of getting under your skin, you can either walk away, you can recognize and identify, I know what this person's doing, they always do this, and you can actually say that to yourself, I'm not going to react today. Or you can just be assertive and you can be very clear and you can say, I know what you're trying to do here. I said it to someone yesterday. I said on Facebook yesterday, thanks, Mia. I said to someone, because there was a conversation going on and I could see where it was going. And I said to the person, whatever you try, I know I can see what you're trying to do here, but it's not working. That's how I left it. Because I thought, the conversation was going in a particular way. It was very respectful, but then this person kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And I thought, bye Mia, thanks for joining. I thought, I know where this is going. So I just had to tell that person that I know where you're going with this. But whatever you're trying to do, it's not going to work. And I think sometimes it is about not getting into the power struggle. Don't get into it with the person. Bye Smokey, thanks for joining. Don't get into it with the person. Leave them to it. Even the situation, you don't have to get involved in the situation. You know, we can have control of things ourselves. So the sixth thing is to practice responding, not reacting. So reaction. Oh, you said bye to Mia. Okay, Smokey, thanks. So many people are walking around really pent up, hyper vigilance. And when something happens, their reaction, it's like they're a bomb waiting to go off. It's like they are so wound so tight that just anything triggers them. So what we need to learn to do really is to just unravel a little bit and to relax a little bit and to give yourself time and space to respond instead of react. So if something happens, give yourself at least a few minutes to say, right, how am I going to, it might be less than a few minutes, it could be seconds. But when you react, it means you don't have time. It's like a boxer, if a boxer's in a ring, they don't have time because they're reacting to every punch, they're waiting and anticipating. Obviously they don't want to get punched in the face, but you're not in that situation. You're not a soldier at war. You're not a boxer in the ring. You're just a human being. So if you're walking around with that type of energy, if anyone looks at me, I'm going to do this. If anyone makes the wrong move in their car, I'm going to do this. If anyone says the wrong thing to me at the party, I'm going to say something. If anyone that's how lots of people are walking around. They're just so wound up that there's nothing they can do except to react. And that's why lots of people are getting into fights with each other. That's why people are ending up hurting each other, pulling out weapons and things. When you pull out a weapon, because you've already decided in your mind that you're already on edge. So you might be saying something like, the next person that says anything to me, I'm going to hit them. The next person that says this to me, I'm going to do this. So what you need to do is change all of that by saying you are, walking around and saying to yourself that any situation that comes up, I know that I have the capacity to be able to respond to it. And what that means is you're not walking out of fear. You're saying, if this happens, I'll respond. I'll take a few minutes. I'll think about how I'm going to deal with this, and then I'm going to deal with it. That's how I operate. If I have to make a complaint about something, I'll make a complaint. If I have to sit and think, right, okay, what's going on here? I've been waiting in this restaurant for ages. No one's come over for drinks. We were out the other day, me and my niece. This was about a month ago. Went to a really busy, it wasn't even that busy to be fair, it was just a really lively place. We sat, no one came over to ask, do you want a drink? We thought, okay, give him a bit of time. We saw the waiter go back and forth, back to different tables, back to the bar, whatever. I think we were there for about 20 minutes before we decided we can go and eat somewhere else. It was the place where we had loads of choice. We didn't react. We didn't make a big deal. We didn't get up and start going, oh, blah, blah, blah. Because we're not ruining our afternoon. We just decided, you know what? 20 minutes we've been sat here. We haven't been treated the way that we want to be treated. We're leaving. And we left. And that was it. That's a response. That's not a reaction. There's other situations I could mention, but I don't have to give loads of examples. But what we need to learn to do as human beings is just to take our time and to respond to things. And the final thing the final one, is to train yourself, rewire your brain. So as I've just said there, with the people who are walking around really hyper vigilant, really tense, really just this big bundle of, you bump into this person and that's it, they're going to be fighting with you. You look at this person and that's it, they're going to come over there and, what are you looking at, what are you looking at? Those just constantly. And the thing is, if your brain is wired like that, you have to bring it down. You have to bring it down so it's less reactive, but you have to train yourself to do that, because the type of world we're living in, to be fair, there's times where people have to be on high alert. There's times where people might have to be in survival mode. There's times where people might be walking into situations where they have to be a bit more cautious. If you're walking on the street late at night, you are going to be probably more hyped up. You are going to be more cautious, because you might be thinking, is anyone following me? Am I in danger? That sort of thing. But people are walking around like that 24 hours a day, and that's why they're just reacting to things. Someone will just, bang into them by accident. They won't wait for someone to say sorry. They'll just go like crazy. So train your brain so you can do that by practicing things that will help your brain to be calm. Meditation. You can also do things where you are not always looking for the negative, not always looking for, everyone's out to get me. This situation is really bad. You can just start to think of ways that you can soothe yourself, self-soothing, ways that you can also be confident in your ability to handle these situations. If you trust yourself and you have confidence in yourself and your ability to manage problems, then you don't have to be reactive, because you know that, okay, if this was to happen, then this is how I would respond. If this happens, then this is how I would deal with it. Or, this has happened to me before and I've got through it. So you don't have to be reactive. So I hope you found this video useful. So I'm just going to run through it again. These are some ways to be less emotionally reactive. Work on understanding yourself and your emotions. Don't avoid, suppress, or label your emotions. Know your triggers, but don't react to them. Don't allow the idea that someone can make you feel something. Take responsibility for how you feel. When an emotion appears, identify it, investigate why it might be here, choose what you'll do next, what action you'll take. If someone pushes your buttons, try to work out why. Don't get into a power struggle. Try to work out why this person is pushing your buttons. Don't go to their level. Practice responding, not reacting. And finally, rewire your brain. Rewire your brain so that your responses can be clearer, can be better, and that you can be less emotionally responsive. So thanks for joining Mia, Smokey, everyone else that joined on this live stream. I really appreciate it. If you want to leave any comments, feel free to do that. And also, if you want to share this video with other people, feel free to do that too. Thanks for joining. Have a great afternoon. Bye.